Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another broadcasting of Let's Talk About It, where we discuss our journey to better mental health. In this season, we're talking about better mental health for children, talking about ways that we can help them to be much more stable in their mind as they possibly can. And so, welcome once again. My name is Helen Artis-Armstrong. I am your host. And today's topic, we're going to be talking about child abuse and neglect. Child abuse and neglect. Um, it's a topic that needs to be discussed over and over and over and over and over again because it's something that is vitally important to our children having a better outcome in their adulthood, better successes even in their childhood. And it's something that is really a plague in the world. And there's so many different ways that a child could be going through episodes of child abuse. Um, by definition, child abuse is doing something or failing to do something that results in the harm of a child or puts a child at risk. I'm going to read that again. Child abuse is doing something or failing to do something that results in harm to a child or puts a child at risk of harm. Okay. Sometimes it's not always what you do to that child, but it could also be um, really a lack of what you're doing for that child. It says that child abuse is something that you do or something that you fail to do. And so, one of the aspects of child abuse that we want to talk about today is physical abuse. How you can harm their physical body, how you can do things to them that are, inappropriate, things that will scar them even for life sometimes. Things like people burning children purposely, bites children have gotten from being abused, bruises from the beatings that children are showing and presenting with, broken bones. Um, had a client recently that landed in a child abuse case. They took x-rays of the child, 9-year-old girl, and they saw what appeared to be the print of a hand that was on the child's backside. And they saw this in the x-ray, that this child was beaten to the point where there was a bruise left in the shape of a hand. That's not okay. That's not okay. Children are getting beaten. There's a video going around right now where there's a full grown adult man and he's holding a child where he's licking the child's neck and kissing the child on the neck. That's not okay. That is abuse. That is abuse, and that's getting into sexual abuse. This gentleman is showing indications of that he's possibly a pedophile. Well, we're gonna get into sexual abuse in a few minutes, but there's so many different ways that children are being abused. Why would you go and burn a child? There are children, you can pull them up on YouTube or the internet where you can see cases of abuse where people are taking cigarettes and burning children. Kids are innocent. I don't care how much they misbehave. Abuse is not the answer. Not one single child in this earth asked to come here. No child asked to be born. And since they are, it's our duty to love and take care of them, not hurt them. But we just talked about, bringing up the subject of sexual abuse. Um, any form of sex that comes to your mind that you could think of, if it is portrayed on that child, if it is done to that child, that is abuse. That is sexual abuse. Children should have no part in anything sexual whatsoever because they're children. Sex is something that is set aside for adults. It's an adult activity. Nothing sexual should be ever imposed on a child. If you, sir, you, ma'am, are doing these things, not only are you abusing that child, but you're subject to punishment by law. Um, you're committing a crime against nature, a crime against that child. You need help, and you need to stop it right now. It's not okay. 1 second after an incident is too late. 1 second. And these are the types of things that can linger with the child for the rest of their life, that can scar them for the rest of their lives. Way too many cases of abuse, with children have been reported. And these things are disturbing, at the least. Very, very much so disturbing. It's not okay. Um, Emotional abuse, it's not okay. Where you are scarring that child to the point where they may start to wet the bed, where you are yelling and screaming and you're belittling that person, that child, telling them that you're nothing, you're nobody, where you are withholding love, nurturing affection from that child. Those things are emotional abuse. Mhm. It is. It's not okay. That child didn't ask to come into this world. So why would we abuse them? Why would we abuse them? One of the big ones is neglect. A lot of people don't even see that as abuse, but it is. If you are that person, that parent, that caregiver, you have a child and they are not up on, let's say, their shots. They're not up on their physicals. You're missing doctor's appointment after doctor appointment after doctor appointment. That is neglect. Your child walking around nappy headed to the point where their hair is matted. Your child has a body odor and you're not making sure that you're meeting their physical needs as far as getting the bath that they need. That is neglect. And it's punishable by law. Yeah. As a caregiver, you can go to jail for that. You could be cited for that. That is neglect. Your children walking around with clothing that are inappropriate for the season that they're in. Um, your children not having sufficient clothing. That's neglect. So I don't have the money and we're poor and we're going through this, that, and the other. Well, there are agencies out there that have resources that can help you out with that. I know through our agency, Kingdom Builders Outreach Ministries, we run a clothing closet and we also run a food pantry. And it's a case by case type of distribution. You know, our number is out there, our email is out there, and we've helped thousands of people at this point. We've been in operation for a long time, been over 10 years. But what I'm saying is, we're not the only ones. There are so many resources, so many places out there that'll help you. And the first place that you can find out where you can go and get these things like this to help you is going to be like the Department of Social Services. They have a resource list of community agencies that'll help. Clothes, food, toiletries, you know, personal care need products. And so it's not okay just to say, well, we're poor and we don't have it. You can get it. You got to reach out to somebody. And if you're not supplying it for your child, that's neglect. Even if you have to contact the counselor at your child's school and say, hey, this is what's going on with us right now. We're on hard times. We're going through this and that. We need some things. Your counselor can point you in the right direction. That school counselor can probably give you resources right out of the school that they have set aside for children who are faced with these things, for families, whole families who are faced with these things. It's not okay to just let it go and say, oh, well, your kid walking around with shoes on that are too small and their feet are hurting. It's not okay. It's up to you to know when their shoes and things are too small. Well, I didn't even know that kid their shoes were small. I didn't know what hurt their feet. Why didn't you know, sir, ma'am? It's your kid. You're the caregiver. Why didn't you know? When was the last time you sized that child's feet up with their shoes? When was the last time you asked them, why are you walking like that? Because kids, they'll walk funny if their clothes and shoes and things are not appropriate. You'll see them, you know, even getting up in some age. Kids might have shame and not want to tell it or share. But if you're that caregiver, that parent, you should be asking those important questions to be able to help them. These beatings, going back to the physical abuse, it's not okay. Spanking is legal in the state of North Carolina and in a lot of other states. But there's a difference between a spanking and a beating. Okay. You should not be taking objects like electrical cords and brooms. You know, I've heard all these stories, that kids are getting beat with. Not okay. It's one thing when you're spanking their bottom, bringing forth some correction. It's another thing when they are being abused, locked in rooms, food being withheld. That's abuse. That's abuse. You don't punish a child by withholding food. That's abuse. Food is one of their basic necessities that they need in life. Not okay. Parents out there getting food stamps and selling all of them, and now the kids are in the house hungry. Abuse. It's not okay. Parents in the house eating up all the food and they get all the good stuff and not giving the kids even a balanced meal. It's abuse. Feeding your kids chips all day, every day, and juice, not giving them milk and cheese, not giving them fruits and vegetables, the different meats that they need, the protein every day. It's abuse. It's not okay. Your child, I hate to say it, but your child will turn out to be developmentally delayed if they're not getting a balanced meal, if they're not getting the proper nutrients in their body that they need in order for their brain to grow. Your child will be slow. And then you'll bring them to me or someone like me to help them get up to speed, up to par. If permanent brain damage has not taken place. Some of the causes of child abuse is people that are living in poverty. We talked about that parent, that caregiver says, I don't have the money, I don't have the resources. Or reach out to somebody. Stuff is out there for you. Another cause of child abuse is people in the house, the caregivers that have a history of abuse. Hurt people. Some of the same types of things that they dealt with in their youth, they might be, doing some of these same things to their children or the children that they're taking care of. You need help. You need help. Get a counselor. Go talk to somebody. Go find out what the root cause of what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing. Get some help so that you won't be hurting this child that is in your care. Excuse me. Domestic violence, drug and alcohol abuse. These are also causes, of why a caregiver will lash out and abuse a child. Get some help. These children are innocent. They deserve much, much better than what a lot of them are getting that are at home facing abuse. One of the worst things that was on my heart and mind, even as we were dealing with this pandemic, is thinking about the children that were at home with abusers. Those children that their only outlet was to get to school and to be able to have that balanced meal. to be able to have that peace of mind away from the sexual abuse, the emotional abuse, the physical abuse that was happening at home. And then the pandemic came, and then we were all quarantined, and those children, the children became prisoners in their own home. It's sad, but it's reality, and it's not okay. And if that's you that is imposing these abusive types of behaviors on these children, you need help. You need to reach out for you and get some help and overcome this for your child, for that child, for yourself, because ultimately you're going to land in jail if you continue what you're doing, and rightfully so for some of you. Rightfully so. 1 second after an incident is too late. This is why we can't let anybody keep our children. You can't leave your children in anybody's house. Some of these people that are partiers, and I'm just going out to have a good time. I'm going to leave them over, to the neighbor's house. I'm going to leave them over to auntie so-and-so house. Uncle Bob is going to watch them today. Well, guess what? Uncle Bob's been molesting your child. Sexual abuse. And it's not okay. Because you're so caught up in your party lifestyle. You don't even realize it or care enough to know. And it's not okay. Talking about abuse and neglect. Leaving them over grandma's house, knowing grandma doesn't have sufficient amount of money to be able to furnish foods and snacks and things like that. And you're not even taking anything for them, leaving them for days at a time. It's not okay. It is your responsibility to take care of your child. It is not okay. And something needs to be done about it. And it begins with you. You have the power. You hold the power to make that change. The scripture that I want to leave with you today, because I always want to leave a word from God with you whenever I come through with these broadcasts, because I make no shame about it, and I say it boldly, that Jesus is my saving grace. Okay. When I was young, there was a lot of abusive things that I suffered through, but thankfully I overcame. And, that won't be every child's testimony, because ultimately children that abuse, a lot of them become adults that are scarred, that have mental issues, children that, are battling a lot of things because of what was done, or the lack of what was done to them when they were younger. Okay. And so the scripture I want to leave with you is Galatians 6:2. It says, bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. I'm going to read it again. Galatians 6:2. It says, bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Jesus Christ. Listen, a lot of people say it's not my business. They'll see some of these abusive situations going on with children, and they'll turn the other way. That's not okay. They'll say, it's not my business. I'm not getting into it. Well, if not you, then who? Some of these parents, these caregivers, they need to be reported. These children need some help. It says, bear one another's burdens. That means that we all need to carry this burden of watching over our children, over the children of the world. They need help. They need an advocate. They need somebody that will stand up for them and say that, this right here is going on with them and it's not right. And so if you see something, then report it. Say something to the parent. Say something to the grandmother. Say something to the neighbor. Tell somebody. Raise awareness that this thing is happening. Raise awareness. That's how you help the children. You become their advocate. I knew of a case where the young woman was in the home and she had an older brother. And the older brother was sexually abusing her. He was raping her. Okay. 4th grader, this young girl. And mom knew that something was going on. But mom did not make any attempt to correct this and to intervene. Well, the auntie found out about it, and the auntie did not hesitate to turn this individual in, this big brother, to turn him in. And ultimately, this big brother, he was doing things that were beyond inappropriate. He was raping his younger sister. Okay. And it got to the point there was another child in the house, another female, and the sister, she began to take a hit to protect her younger sister. But when Auntie reported it, he went to jail. No, Mom was not happy about it, but he went to prison. He went in for some years, and rightfully so. Nobody should have been turning the other cheek. Nobody should have been looking the other direction that knew about what was going on in that home. It's not always some stranger that is abusing our kids. Okay? It's not okay, no matter who it is. The kids are innocent and they need our help. I could go on with story and story after story after story of true accounts of situations with children. Kids carry so much, and this is why a lot of them are walking around with PTSD now, traumatized over the things that have happened to them. But you and I hold the power. If you know something, say something. Help the kids out. Become that advocate that they need. Somebody has to. And it's a serious business. Okay, that's my spiel for today. Thanks everybody for just stopping by and tuning in. In this season, we'll continue to talk about our journey to better mental health to help the children. You can respond to this broadcasting if you like, or just reach out to us with comments and questions through way of our website, KBO Ministries at yahoo.com. That is KBO Ministries at yahoo.com. Until the next time, I pray that you have a blessed week and that your life is just overflowing with the abundance of love, peace, joy, and happiness. Okay, bye-bye.